everyone. I'm someone who loves to read books, and I've read about 50 to 60 books per year, except for last year, which was a very slow reading year. So this year I vowed to read more books, and I hope that from this YouTube channel I can use it as a way to express my thoughts about books and to share the reading joy with everyone. So I'm going to start this year with the books that I got in January, and I'm planning to read all these books, and I've read some of them. So the first one is Jiong Born 1982. It's a story about a girl born in South Korea, and the story from her birth up until her motherhood, in which at the end she was depressed, she has a mental illness, and the book tells the story about the triggers, her life that is contributing to the fact that she is now having an illness. It is very difficult to be a woman in South Korea and some of the other traditional Eastern countries as well, such as Malaysia. Maybe some of us have also experienced the same thing that has been experienced by Kim Ji-young. So I think a lot of women can relate to the story, and she has to give up a lot of the things, sacrifice her life for the benefit of other people, especially the males in the family. So I heard that this book has been a phenomenon in South Korea, and it was made into a film, and the film brings about sort of like anger from the women in the country towards how they are treated by the men in a very misogynistic community. So I guess this is a very good book to start 2021, and I read it and I gave it 4 stars. It is enjoyable. Next is Light Filters In from Caroline Kaufman. She posts a lot of her poems on her Instagram page, which is Poetic Poison, and I found that most of them are really relatable. So let me just read you my favorite. A pillow is not a tissue or a shoulder or a therapy session, but you can cry into it. A journal is not a friend, a hotline, or a therapy session, but you can vent into it. Poetry is not an intervention or prescription or a therapy session, but you can heal with it. First steps are always more important than they seem. If you're struggling with depression or any sort of mental illness, you'll find that most of her poems are really relatable. So I read this at the most lowest point of my life, and it brings some comfort knowing that there are other people out there who are experiencing the same things that I did. And this is so far my favorite that I read this year. Okay, next book that I got is The Art of Letting God by Mizi Wahid. Honestly, I haven't read, I got this in December actually, but I haven't read as much. I think I only read about 10 pages. It's quite short. I want to sit down one day and finish it all in one go. But so far from what I've read, it's quite inspirational. It gives you motivation, it gives you hope. So I guess it's a very good book to read when you're down as well. This is The String in Our Scars by Liana Muspira, which is published by Iman Publications. This gives off the same vibe as The Art of Letting God, and basically I think I've read about 3/4 of this book already. It's very specific to the challenges that are facing women in today's society, especially Muslim women. It gives you advice specific to the type of situation that you may face. For example, to the sister who is searching for resilience in facing life's uncertainties, to the sister who is hoping to strengthen in mending her relationship with her parents. It's quite specific to sort of a situation that you might encounter in your life. So I think it is a book that you can keep for a long time, and whenever you have this trouble, and you can go to certain chapters and read, and might give you some comfort and advice as well. Next is Shadow and Bone by Lee Bardugo. This is the collector's edition. It's very pretty. It's blue at the side, and they have very pretty illustrations as well. So honestly, I've read Crooked Kingdoms and Six of Crows, yeah, by Lee Bardugo a few years back, and I quite enjoyed it. I've never read Shadow and Bone. I watched the trailer to the Netflix adaptation coming in April, and I thought I want to read it first before the Netflix series. So I bought this one, and honestly, 3 out of 5. It's enjoyable, but it's very typical young adult fantasy story that I've read a million times. Maybe if I'm younger, I'll like it more, but as I grow older, I find that young adult books are not quite relevant and not quite I just want to read a more challenging books. But I'm not really, okay, to be honest, I'm not really fan of fantasy genre. So yeah, this one I'm not continuing with the 2 other books in the series. Let's just wait for the Netflix adaptation. Next is Secrets of Divine Love by A. Helwa. This is a very spiritual book about our relationship with the Quran, with God, with your faith as Muslims. I've read that several reviews about this book, and most people find it very, very good. So I'm quite excited to read this. But I've just finished a non-fiction book, so I really want to alternate between fiction and non-fiction. And right now I'm just going to read fiction first, and I'll read this book after that. And next one is Sarah J. Maas, Crescent City, the first book of the House of Earth and Blood series. I've read A Court of Thorn and Roses trilogy, and I quite enjoyed it. So I'm planning to read this book. It's very thick and, you know, fantasy. So maybe, you know, if I have time, I read this. Next is Letters to a Young Muslim. I just finished this yesterday, and honestly, it's a very good book. I think that every young Muslims need to read this book at least once in their life, because it is full of advice. It tells you the challenges that the Muslims face nowadays with the advancement of technology, with the news surrounding the negative views surrounding Muslim today. So this one is very good to read. Buy this book and let your kids, your sons, your daughters read this as well. So it's very important. Next is The Book Thief. Actually, I've never read The Book Thief. It came out about maybe 10 years ago. And it has a movie which is very, very sad as well. So I'm planning to read this book sometime in January. January is almost ending, I know, but I will read this later. The next is The Tattooist of All Switch. Actually, I bought this in October last year, and I haven't really read this. It's about Holocaust survivors. So I bet it will be really sad. I actually love to read about I guess historical fiction, because it gives you a little glimpse of the stories surrounding world events that is happening at that time. You know, when you read history books, you only look at the facts, but when you read historical fiction, you can really imagine yourself being there. How would it feel to live in that certain period, and the challenges and the hardships and the relationships that revolves around world events at that time. So yeah, historical fiction is one of my favorite genres as well. Okay, this is First and Then by Emma Mills. I read this back in 2017, the ebook version. So I found this is a very light novel. It's Pride and Prejudice meets Friday Night Lights. It's a very YA high school romance story. It takes about 2 hours to finish this book, so this one is very light read whenever you don't have the mood to read a very heavy, thought-provoking books, and you just want to relax and read for 2 hours. So this one's perfect, and I've read this as soon as I got this, which was in the early January. Okay, next is the book that I'm currently reading now, V.E. Schwab's The Near Witch. I read Vicious by V.E. Schwab, and also The Invisible Life of Eddie LaRue. So this is actually the first book that is published by, this is the first book written by V.E. Schwab, and it was reprinted, I think, early in 2020. So I'm reading this book. I've heard that it reads like a fairy tale, so I'm quite excited to read this. So I'll let you know how it feels. I'll let you know how I feel like I'm going to this book. So that's all. I've already ordered about 20 books for February, so I'll update the books that I will read in February. So I hope that this will be a good reading month. I have exam. I'm also working, so and I'm preparing for a big exam in September. So I have to dedicate quite a few hours to study and to work, and I work very long hours. So I hope that I can read as much as I can. This year, my aim is to read as fun as possible, meaning that I will not be confined to the amount that I have to read a certain month or certain days, maybe like 10 books a month. This year it's all about quality over quantity. If I want to drop the book that I don't like, then I'll just will not finish it. So I'm just trying to have fun because it's my hobby, and I don't want my hobby to be as frustrating or as stressful as my work. You know, my work is as stressful enough as it is. So I hope that you can follow me through. This is like the first video that I'm making, and I hope that you'll be with me. Please like and subscribe to this channel, and there'll be more content regarding books that you'll enjoy. Bye.